It's time for the 5-Minute Brand. Quick and dirty tips for creating a killer personal brand. This is not about logos and designs. This is about telling your story in a way that captures the attention of the people who are already looking for you. This is branding from the inside out. Here's your host, Robyn Sayles.
One of my favorite movie tropes is the moment when the protagonist is asking the mentor, where do I start? And the answer is always start at the beginning. And this is said as if it's some great wisdom that's being passed down. And I don't know about you, but I have a tendency to go, well, duh. But in reality, especially when we're trying to talk about ourselves or talk about our brand, we have a tendency to not start at the beginning. We usually start somewhere in the middle, and then we talk in these roundabout ways. My grandmother used to say, going around the block to go next door. We make this stuff more complicated than it needs to be. So we start at the beginning with the question that I get asked most often, which is, what is a brand? Imagine you're walking down a street and you see a shape of an apple with a little leaf on top. What's the first thing you think of? Most of you probably thought of Apple, the company, the ubiquitous phone and laptop brand. But it's not just the Apple, it's the design of their products, it's the ads that they run, it's the feeling of being part of something. Now, the Apple community will tell you that they feel like they're a part of a hip, tech-savvy community. And the non-Apple community will tell you it's a cult. Whether you're trying to build a community or a cult, a strong, easily recognizable, distinguishable brand is key to gathering your clients or gathering your flock. All jokes aside, that's what a brand is about. It is not just the logo. It's not just the product. It's a feeling. It's the impression that a company or the service leaves on you. It's the way the people or the product that you engage with makes you feel. Those brands work as well as they do. The Apples, the Coca-Colas of the world become those top recognizable brands because they tap into our emotions. Yes, you need all of the verbal and visual elements of a good brand, but at the end of the day, it's the way you make people feel that really cultivates a strong brand. It's about creating an identity that resonates with your audience, standing out from the competition and leaving a lasting impression. So before we get into some of the more nuanced topics of this season, in this episode, I want you to know 3 things that every brand needs. Whether you're teeny tiny or top of the world, you need a clear brand identity. That's the visual and verbal representation of your brand. It includes things like the logo, the color palette, the font choices, the brand messaging. A clear and consistent brand identity helps you stand out from your competition and makes it easy for customers to recognize and remember and find your brand. The second thing you need is a target audience. This is a hill I will die on. You need to know who your ideal customer is, what their needs and desires are, and how you or your brand can solve their problems. By understanding your target audience, you can create a brand that speaks directly to them and builds trust and loyalty. The third thing you need is brand consistency. One of the most heartbreaking things you can watch happen is you watch a client spend time and money crafting a truly personalized, customized, remarkable brand. And then the minute the first holiday rolls around, they immediately go and break their brand. They use a different font, or they use a different color, or they use images that don't support their overall brand message. And they don't realize how much interference and friction that's causing with their audience. So consistency really is key when it comes to branding. It needs to have a consistent look, a consistent feel, a consistent voice, And that needs to be across all channels and all touch points, from your website to your social media profiles to your product and packaging and customer service. Consistency helps build brand recognition and trust, and it just makes it easier for your customers to connect with you and your brand. Over the next 9 episodes, we're going to talk about these elements and more. Until then, take note of the 3 things I mentioned in this episode, and I want you to rate yourself from 1 to 10. Where would you rate yourself in terms of brand identity, target audience, and brand consistency?
Please hold for a very important message.
The 5-Minute Brand is brought to you by Launching Your Success, not your average training because you're not average. Check out our innovative personal branding programs at launchingyoursuccess.com/brand. Notes from this episode and more can be found at 5minutebrand.com.